Hello again, and welcome again to another My NT&D marriage video. Today I want to talk about card decks, things I've tried. So let me open the app and I'll show you what it looks like. The screen first starts, you get some little love hearts, it's a sort of pinky screen, and then it moves to this, which has categories. This was recommended to us by counsellor Sue. She said download this app and then spend 10 minutes a night talking about the questions that arise. If I click on Love Maps, what's your partner's favourite holiday? What medical problems does your partner worry about? I personally found the questions a little mundane. I didn't feel like they brought us closer. It was almost asking questions for the sake of asking questions. So not the intended outcome, I guess, but just how I felt. So if I go to open-ended questions, what things are missing in your life? Well, I could talk to him about that, and then it would just be a conversation that was had in that moment and then forgotten. So it didn't bring about change, so therefore it didn't make me feel better or more connected or anything like that. I guess it's a rather pessimistic view. It's just how I felt. I can't explain it. When it came to the sex questions, either for him or for myself, I just actually mostly felt triggered because we have so much disconnect with regards to our sex life. That's a whole nother video which I'll get to maybe eventually. But a lot of the questions made me feel frustrated even just reading them and thinking about them. So, for example, I don't know if I'm actually allowed to read this. Is it breaking some sort of app rule? Oops. Shh, don't tell anyone. Do you feel entitled to have an orgasm? Triggering. Right from the get-go, he didn't seem to know or care about or something about female climax. For whatever reason it was, his upbringing, his mates, something, I don't know. But he thought sex was all about the male orgasm and not about the female orgasm, and so we had dramas about that in the early days because I was like, hey, what the? Why are you leaving me hanging? Like, what's going on here? And he would make random statements about how you're the only girlfriend I've had who's in this situation and yada yada yada, and I'm thinking, well, if you were bringing them to climax, why have you suddenly not been able to do that with me? Like, what? So, triggering, you know. Do you feel pressure from me or pressured socially to climax? I mean, that's an annoying question. There's no pressure. Why are men having sex? This is what I would explain to my partner. To climax. Yes? Why are women having sex? To climax. Yes? You know, we're not here just to service a man's climax. So that question there is triggering. Do I feel pressured to climax? No, I want to climax. That's the whole reason I wanted to have sex in the first place. It's the end result that we're chasing. Another issue that I had with the card decks was that he didn't download the app. Only I had it on my phone, and if I didn't ask him, it didn't happen. Then when we did do the questions, I would ask my question and then he would just sit there and I would then have to prompt him. So it was a little bit frustrating in that it wasn't flow, it wasn't smooth, it wasn't cohesive, and it didn't get better. It didn't be like once we'd done it for so many nights in a row that it would just flow and go and happen. And then of course when he was at work, there were no questions. and I'm the only one with the app. So I would then have had to been on the phone opening questions and then telling him what his question is to ask me. And that would have been a bit kind of awkward and odd. It was already strained enough as it was. So we're just giving it a shot, and it just wasn't gelling. It wasn't there was still no connection. He'd kind of give a response and it would be sort of flat. It's really hard to explain, but you wouldn't feel like you just had a deep and meaningful moment with him. And it kind of didn't go as well as I hoped it would, or even as well as Counsellor Sue thought maybe it might. Again, when you're dealing with somebody who's neurodiverse, they're not going to give the typical neurotypical response in that they'll automatically come up to you and remember that they're supposed to be doing this bit for connection. And I don't know if it would be the same in neurotypical relationships. Do you still have one person who's trying to get connection while the other neurotypical's off in their own world, forgetting all about connection? Maybe it isn't just a neurotypical, neurodiverse thing. But nonetheless, that was the card decks. It was something that we tried. It didn't specifically work for us, but the reason I talk about it is because it's not to say that it won't work for you. You may have a different type of autistic person or Aspie person who is far more interested in this kind of thing and who does come to you with those bits of connection. I feel like maybe the younger Aspies who know that they're on the spectrum and know what it's like to be on the spectrum and have learned and grown and things like this, they would probably be more open to something like card decks. And with regards to myself and my partner, we're a little bit older and it took us forever to know that he was on the spectrum. Anyway, that's me sharing this with you. Another thing that I've tried. Let me know your thoughts below. Would you give it a shot? Would you not? Have I given it a bum rating? Oops. Anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. I really appreciate it.